Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. I'm your host, Greg Fitzsimmons, coming to you live. Not live. This is always recorded in a hotel room in Indianapolis, Indiana. Look at this fucking cold sore on my lip. That shit looks like herpes. Wife will not be happy with me coming off the road with a cold sore on my lip. Doing some shows at the Helium Comedy Club. Great fucking club. They take such good care of you. Mark Grossman, who runs the club out of Philly, travels around the country. There's like 6 of these Heliums. Trains the staff. They just fucking come into the green room constantly. Is there anything I can get you? Anything I can get you? And you start thinking, I got to think of shit they can get me. Because they seem sad when they leave and I haven't asked for anything. Working with some good comics. I'm sorry I forget their names. I'm such an idiot. I'll mention them on the next podcast. One guy is paraplegic in a wheelchair. He's fucking hilarious. And I'm not saying his name. Anyway, today's episode, we're going to be talking to Ian Edwards. Well, I've already talked to Ian Edwards, but we will be playing our conversation at the end of my little tirade. So much to talk about. I mean, by the time I'm recording, just so you know, I'm recording this on Saturday, the 9th of January. It will come out on Tuesday, the 12th of January, at which point you probably have fatigue talking about the almost insurrection in this country. The fact that we now have a Democratic Senate. The fact that the COVID deaths are at an all-time high. There a lot of fucking news happened this week. But I'm going to stay focused. I mean, what can we talk about? What can we talk about? I mean, there was a coup, and it was very sad. It was very disappointing to think. At the end of it, I read a statistic that 12% of America supports the uprising. Sedition. They support it. That means 1 out of 10 people that you see thinks that was okay that a bunch of fucking wingnuts charged the Capitol. And it was very sad. 2 of them died. One was a woman who, she had a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, and then she got trampled to death. A little foreshadowing there. And then the other guy tased his balls, died of a heart attack, which, Anyway, I'm in, I had a woman last night on stage. I asked her how old she was because she had a sash on. I said, "Happy birthday." I said, "How old are you?" She said, 40. I go, "How old do you think I am?" And this motherfucker said 61. I'm 54. And I don't think, she said she was kidding later. I don't think she was kidding. I think, maybe this cold weather, whatever. I don't look fucking 61. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube. If you're not, you should check it out. The whole podcast is on YouTube. So I didn't like it. And I sadly, I'm doing my gigs this weekend. If you're watching this, wait, what are the dates? I'll be in Tempe, Arizona on January 14 through 17, tickets at fitzdog.com. However, I felt the need to postpone some dates coming up in February. It's late January. I was supposed to do Kansas City. That got pushed to the spring. And then Portland, Oregon got pushed to, I think, September. So I apologize to people that might have got tickets for those already. They'll be fully refunded. And I can't do it right now. It's a little too hot. As I go to Phoenix, the fucking hottest spot in the country. But I couldn't cancel because it was too last minute and they couldn't, I don't want them to have to replace me and they've already sold the tickets and whatever. Anyway, so that's what's going on with me. And I got to go home and quarantine because my wife and son both work in a doctor's office and my daughter works at a preschool. So I can't infect them, so I'm in the back just by myself, basically for 3 weeks. I'll be away from my family for 3 weeks because, anyway, whatever. It's going to suck. But you guys were nice enough to send me some suggestions for TV shows and movies to watch while you are quarantining. I'll mention a couple of those later in case there's other people that need to watch something. Won my football pool last weekend. I don't know if you guys know, I was in a football pool with 150, 200 people. And single elimination, you pick one team a week. And you get knocked out if you guess wrong. And I split it with 3 other people, but I made it to the end. Very exciting. I'm putting the money in my daughter's IRA account because they say if you put it in when they're this young, they'll be millionaires when they're old. And $1 million by then will be enough to buy a fucking cup of coffee and a bus ticket. But at least you'll have that. Whatever. I was going to talk about Trump losing his Twitter account. I had a bunch of stuff, but you know what? It's probably been done. You're sick of it. So let's get to some mail. Some nice letters from people. God damn it, I got some nice letters. You guys, I don't know if it was like a New Year's resolution for people to reach out and express how they feel more, but I must have gotten 25 of the most heartfelt, positive emails sent to my website of people just saying, hey, thanks for doing the show. It means a lot to me. It got me through this year. I appreciate how honest and vulnerable you are, but yet funny. I mean, it just went on. It made me feel so fucking good. And I appreciate you guys taking the time out to do that. So thank you. And then I got this one from Mana Gazanfari. Since you brought up what you sometimes mispronounce, and as I have been listening to you for almost 2 decades, you say thang instead of thing. I don't even know how to say it right. Thang. And it always feels off, and I never knew if you noticed or cared. If you do, just pay attention. If not, F me. I'm not going to pay attention. At this point, I am who I am. And that's my resolution for 2020 is accept rather than change. Sure, there's things I want to change. I don't want to continue murdering. I don't want to continue slipping into the darkness on a Tuesday night and taking a human life because it calms me, but it's not good for society. But otherwise, I'm going to accept. I say thang, I say nightmare, I say milk. Accept it. This one comes from Jim. Love the podcast. Way to play off not knowing the website was Ashley Madison. Sure you didn't know. I talked about a website where if you want to cheat on your spouse, you get on there and they pair you up with other cheaters. So you're in good company. You're meeting someone who's got good ethical system like yourself. I said Dolly Madison, which was a snack cake company. He says, I enjoy the podcast, going through old episodes. Any episodes stand out for me to listen to from 3 or 4 years ago? I would always say the Andy Kindler ones are fun. He makes me giggle. I also love Dave Attell coming on. Those are always great. Just did one with Neil Brennan. Those are always fun. Check those out. So a number of people, because I said I don't enjoy country music. I said I don't even, and I've tried again and again to listen to Jason Isbell, and I don't like him. And people keep writing, going, no, you're not getting it. Listen to this song. No, listen to this song. And I do. Every time you say, listen to this song, I sit there and I listen, and I feel nothing. Nothing. And I'm sorry that I don't feel the same as you, but when I listen to Tom Waits' Heart of Saturday Night, I'm entranced by the album and I feel deep and emotional, and that's me. Maybe you don't feel anything when you listen to that. When I have my windows up and my guilty pleasure song comes on, the Go-Go's, We Got the Beat, yeah, maybe you fucking hate that song. I love it. We're all different. I also asked you guys, what are your nicknames? Because I forget how it came up, but it's become a running thing, and I just always think it's an interesting story when you hear what somebody's nickname was. This one comes from a guy who says, my last name, Huberty, pronounced like puberty. Well, there you go. Was an obvious target for nicknames. It was often shortened to pubes, which I never thought to be weird until later in life reflecting on it. Kids would call out, pubes! Down the hallway, and I never thought twice about it. Also, my now father-in-law never realized that his daughter would become a Huberty Puberty until we had gotten engaged. He realized this whole thing having dinner with him, and he burst out in laughter. I guess you got to accept it. This one comes from Brooke. He says, I've been listening to you for a long time for a 26-year-old, and today I felt like writing in. I work construction in Reno. Blah, 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 blah. I was taking a shit at 6 a.m., wiping my ass with prison paper in the frozen tundra. My name is Brooke Von Felt, pronounced like the fabric. Growing up, I was called Cookie, I guess because Brooke, Cookie, Brooklyn, or Von Felt himself. That's good. After having 1,000 shitty nicknames that I never took, I decided to give other people nicknames. My favorite was when I arrived at college to find a roommate named Conrad. Instantly, I called him Connie, so every woman who came near him laughed. It wasn't until I walked into him jerking off into a sock that I coined him the name Cumrag. This name stuck harder than the inside of a Fruit of the Loom size 9 sock. Ever since then, he will still answer to the name Cumrag. Michael Field said, I got the nickname Cheech in high school. Not for anything cool, but because my freshman year I was a lineman and would always hit the opposing player too high. Get it? Too high? So since I was always high, someone started calling me Cheech. It stuck. I was a paramedic in my hometown, and often we would run into someone who would inevitably call me Cheech, and then I'd have to go into the explanation. Well, I bet they didn't fucking believe you. I don't. Chris Kane said, you're my favorite interviewer. My nickname, Ma, came from middle school. When I would get stoned with my friends, they would want to talk to me, but I'd be largely catatonic, responding only, Ma. I had other nicknames interspersed in my earlier years, including Yak Man because my unwieldy hair, and Puke Boy because of my drunken vomiting. Once I unknowingly puked in my hand only to smear my vomit through my hair. But Ma always stuck. Take care. Take care. Depression amino. I don't know what that means. Anyway, you sound like you're a lot of fun to party with. You mumble and throw up. Okay, here's a couple binges I'll give you guys, and then we'll get to Ian Edwards. Charlie says my all-time favorite Netflix show is called People Just Do Nothing. It's about a group of guys who run a pirate radio station out of London. It's a mockumentary, and it's very funny. All right, I'm going to check that out. Andy Kress said you guys got to watch Operation Odessa. You guys. Oh, maybe he thinks Mike Gibbons is in on this. Operation Odessa on Netflix. It's bounced around to a bunch of different streaming services, involves 1990s drug cartels, New York and Miami gangster shit, the DEA, and this crazy Russian guy at the center of it all. Done. Top of the queue. That sounds fucking good. He says, what we do in the shadows is fucking hilarious. I've heard that. That's from Christy. Oh, that's from Christy Vadnais. Chris Kane says hard-boiled gourmet report on Netflix. An Asian man travels the world reporting on what the most desperate groups in the world are eating, and he joins in. For example, what are the former child soldiers in Liberia eating? Well, some of them live in actual crypts with human bones. Watch it. It's very short. Best cooking show ever. Thanks for being the best interviewer in the biz. Great show and hilarities last month in Cleveland. There you go. Last one, Enrique Del Sol says, what's good, Fitz? I've got a show for you. It's on Amazon Prime called The Man in the High Castle. Well, I go into quarantine starting tomorrow. I'm on this shit. Can't wait. Thank you for the suggestions. Okay, my guest today is a guy who I'm good buddies with. He is a fellow writer. We've written on several shows together, which is like being in the fucking trenches in wartime. been in New York writing on a show with him. We were both stand-ups in New York for years, been on the road for years together. He's the best. I really love him. He's a good hang. Had a nice talk with him. Please enjoy Mr. Ian Edwards. This is Greg Fitzsimmons, host of Fitzdog Radio. And one of the joys of Fitzdog Radio is seeing an old familiar face. Not old, a little gray in the beard, but a familiar face nonetheless. Ian Edwards, how are you, my friend?
What up, fam? And it's a pleasure to be here. And if I just automatically, suddenly just bolt in the middle of this interview, it's because I got to get to my bunker.
Yeah. Right.
This is Wednesday. I don't know when you're airing this, but this is Wednesday, January 6th, and shit is going down. So, So we're recording this 6 days early because I'm going on the road. So just to give people context, we are literally watching CNN over our shoulders because it's really the Antifa dressed up as Proud Boys. It's not really Trump supporters. It's right.
Yeah. So
exactly.
We're watching them, and they may come back they've left the Capitol for somewhat. I guess they've been forced off the stairs anyway, but we don't really know.
I think they were gently walked out by the authorities.
Yeah, I saw one tactical officer holding a Trump woman's hand and letting her and helping her down the stairs, and I just thought, man, I remember during the Black Lives Matter, them fucking steamrolling a guy. They took a woman out of a wheelchair who was protesting, and they carried her. Remember that?
Yeah, I saw them shove an old man.
Yeah.
In Buffalo. Yeah. To the ground.
Well,
because he didn't get out of the way. An old white man. That was the most horrific thing during all the Black Lives Matter protests, to see an old white man being shoved to the ground by the police. That's
when you knew they had really.
Yeah.
The foam was coming out of their mouths at that point. They couldn't even distinguish.
Like, I've seen unarmed black men shot on video, but when I saw that white guy being shoved, I was like, that's like,
I know, it's like there's certain things you hold sacred in this world. It's not black people being treated correctly by the police. That's not sacred.
He's just used to that.
Yeah, you're just used to that. That's standard.
But that's a new low.
It is. It
is. I was going to say something. I can't remember. It'll come back. But yeah.
What are you drinking? You're so healthy. You're a vegan and you're drinking some kind of tea. It looks like it's got an eighth of pot in it.
It's not that healthy. It's just green tea with lemon in it. It's not that healthy. Yeah.
Nice. And you're working at home. You told me you're Zoom writing on a TV show right now.
Yeah, Zoom writing. It's the last OG, fourth season of Tracy Morgan's show.
Were you on it last year?
Mm-mm.
Oh, my friend used to write on it, but I think she left right before. I think she left 2 seasons ago. Her name is Mary Fitzgerald. You ever heard of Mary Fitzgerald?
No, but her last name sounds close to your last name.
We're probably related.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had sex with each other, but we've been friends for like 30 years. And it is weird. I don't know have you ever had those friendships with women where you can go many years without ever hooking up?
Yeah, and then you never stopped at the beginning to figure out if they liked you at some point, and it's like way too late to ask. Yeah. But it's not that you're not attracted to them. It's just probably past the time when you could have even explored that. But at least your ego would at some point want to know. Yeah. If it was a possibility.
Well, if you get close enough, you can get drunk and talk about it sometimes.
Yeah. These are good people to get to a Christmas party.
Yeah.
To like a, office Christmas party, and then you'll know. Even if nothing happens. Yeah. Somebody will let it slip out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll go, Mary always had a crush on you, don't you? And you got to go like, no. And in your mind, you go like, and I'm not talking about Mary Fitzgerald. I don't think she ever had a crush on me. I had sex with her sister, and she tried to have sex with my brother.
Hilarious.
But he didn't go for it, which I don't know why, but he didn't. But so I think that's sort of her way of saying, I would have had sex with you if we weren't good friends.
She was saving herself for you.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to sleep with your brother and ruin that. And then you ruined it by sleeping with her sister. I
was just rehearsing for her. So make sure the families all react the same sexually.
That's like a great line in a romantic comedy when a couple finally gets together. I slept with her for you. I was rehearsing for you. It was always you.
Yeah.
Every prostitute I spent my money on and slept with and did cocaine off their asshole was for you. That's how much I loved you.
I was trying out new moves. You want me to bring new shit to you? Yeah. Hell no. You're the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be rehearsed, practice, the top of my game.
Yeah.
Because that's what you deserve, the best of me.
That's right. Yeah, and that's why I only have sex with you every few months. I'm training the rest of that time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is not cheating. This is training.
Yeah. I used to cheat on my girl. I've never cheated on my wife, but I used to cheat on my girlfriends a lot. And
word?
Yeah, I never really felt guilty about it, though.
Maybe you weren't in love.
That's what it is. When I met my wife, I knew that's why it took me a few years to marry her, because I needed to test myself and see if I could do it.
That's pretty fair. And that's also love, like testing and waiting. And you're like, I'm sure this is healthy and then I can do this. It's a like, I've always enjoyed your marriage. Yeah. You know, like I'm not married and I normally don't intend to get married. But when you tell me about like your wife and your kids, like when we're at work and it's just completely genuine, I'm like, this is what a marriage should be. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you. That's nice to hear. It is nice to hear because I give up a lot for it, but it's all worth it. You know, because I'm looking at you and I'm going, look at Ian. Ian's out there and you're smooth. You never give it away. When I see you with different girls and you're never hang dog. You're always sort of like chilling. You'll spread the conversation. If you're talking to that girl, you still will talk to Tom Segura and then me, and then maybe her a little bit.
But I mean, listen, man, the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
So trust me, it's hard out here, but I'm not the marriage type unless I run into that chick and I'm like, oh snap, this is it. But you know, I guess I haven't run into her. You know what I mean? You were unfortunate and you ran into the one. Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly how I felt because I had just come out of a really bad long-term relationship, and it was only like maybe 5 months later, and I had been having fun because I was single for the first time as a comedian, and I was having a blast. And then I met her, and I was like, "Fuck! Why couldn't I have met you like a year or two from now?" I had just got a show on MTV. I was hosting a game show on MTV. I was on the road doing colleges, young college girls coming to the show, and I didn't fuck with any of that.
Damn.
Yeah.
I know. That's when you know you're in love, when you give up the opportunity to sleep with like a bunch of women that want to sleep with you. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like the absurd thing about that is that you can't, you know how women want roses to prove that you love them? Like you can't be like, as roses, you know what my roses will be? Yeah. On Valentine's Day to a girl? Yeah. Look at all these DMs I didn't answer. This is look at these DMs. They slid in. Right. And I block all these blocks represent a dozen roses. All these blocks, all these non-responses. Yeah. That's my love for you.
There's a dozen DMs. And you can go, you want to smell a dozen roses or you want to smell my dick right now? Because it smells clean.
It's clean and it's just for you. You know what I mean?
Yep. Just for you. I gotta throw a move on the wife tonight because I'm going out of town tomorrow.
That's funny.
I'll be gone, and I'll be gone for like 3 nights. But then I come back and I have to quarantine because I'll have just been on stage for 5 shows, and then 3 days later I go to another gig, and then when I come home from that I got to quarantine for another 5 days. So this will be my last shot for a couple weeks, 3 weeks.
You gotta say it to her just like that. Yeah. So what are you doing tonight? You know what I mean? tell her exactly what you just told me. And so what are you you know. When you quarantine, when you come, so have you been on the road? Because I haven't been on the road.
I went on the road twice this fall. I went to Cleveland. You ever work Clarity's in Cleveland?
Nah.
It's fun room, but it's a big room, so it's got like a balcony with high ceilings, so you don't worry about the air that much.
Okay.
And then I went to Tampa, Florida, where the state flag is definitely not a mask.
Right.
It's like I would walk to the stage with a mask on just because I had a bit that I would open with, and they'd be screaming, "Take the fucking mask off!"
They wouldn't even let you get the bit.
Nope.
Damn, they ruined the bit.
So I came back and I had we have like a little guest house in the back, so I just chilled back there.
Damn.
And we'd sit in the backyard and have dinner every night.
That's kind of cool, but
yeah. And that was it.
That's kind of cool.
So you haven't been on the road since last March?
Yeah. Which, I think me and you did the same room. Like in March, what's the name of that room? God damn it. In Tampa.
Oh, Side Splitters?
Side Splitters. That's where I was at.
That's the one I just went to.
Right. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it, and I land in Florida. First I get to Florida early because my mom's lives in Florida. So I want to go visit her. And then I was rent a car and I'm going to drive to Tampa. So I get there. I haven't seen it. I didn't see it for the Christmas holiday. And I get there and sitting on the couch, and then we're watching TV. Then I look on my phone and it says the NBA has just canceled the NBA.
Oh, shit.
Right? And I'm like, and then everything is shutting down. The Premier League, which is the British soccer league, the Italian league, everything's just shutting down. The virus is just like, it's hitting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I just came from the airport, and now I'm in my mom's home and she's coronavirus victim age. And we don't know anything except what they're telling us. Yeah. So now I got to slide away from her on the other side of the couch. And then the next morning I had to just get out of there because I didn't want to jeopardize her. Right. And then I drove to Side Splitters. I did the Thursday show. And then Friday I hit him up and said, hey man, I think I just need to get back to California. So I said, I'm gonna do these Friday night shows, but I'm gonna leave. I just bought a ticket and just flew back to LA. Yeah. I didn't even finish the weekend. Yeah. Yeah. Because I felt people were buying up all the toilet paper. And I was like, I need to get back to LA. Yeah. To get some toilet paper.
Take care of my ass. I got to prioritize.
Yeah. If I spend 2 more days here. Yeah. And not get back to LA, I ain't gonna get no toilet paper.
Yeah. Right.
So I had to get out of there.
Yeah. I mean, I remember like you took this shit more serious than any single guy I know. Mm-hmm. You took it more seriously then. Like, I can see like, if you got people that live with their parents or maybe they got small kids, whatever, but like you live alone. And I remember talking to you like 3 months in and you were like, I haven't left the apartment except for to take some walks. And that was it.
And the only reason, here's the main reason, because, so there's 2 things. I stopped writing because before this to pursue stand-up more. So then my Writers Guild health insurance elapsed, right? So, I don't even feel corona's as dangerous, like percentage-wise, as, it's contagious. And a lot of people who get it do not get the ventilator corona. Yeah. But a lot of Black people were getting it bad. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't afford a huge, what if I got it bad and I got the ventilator kind? Yeah. And I can't take the financial hit. So it's like, I'd rather just not get it, period, or jeopardize myself get it. It's like, there's no gig that pays as much as it does for the hospital bill of getting corona. Right. So financially, it's like, I just stay home and be bored. Yeah. And go for walks. You know what I mean? Right. I don't have any health insurance. I'm just not risking whatever I have saved, which is getting me through this. Yeah. It's just, it's just a logical financial calculation. It's like,
I think it was also when I talked to you, you said something like, black people have it hard enough in this world.
Yeah.
But to be a black guy
with Corona. Yeah. Because there was like the numbers, it's bad for black people.
Yeah.
Like in the hospital. So I was like, I'm not going to put my lungs in somebody's hands.
Yeah.
So if I can control as much as I can control, I just stay home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what have you been doing at home? I mean, how long have you been writing on this job?
This job started like early November of last year.
So what'd you do from March until November? You just took walks and did push-ups?
Took walks. And then I started loosening up more. Mm-hmm. And then, I like social distance with some homies. I'd do a Zoom I started doing shows, outside shows. Like people started putting on some really dope ass outside shows.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I've done some really dope outside shows, better than some shows that I did when you could do them inside like bars and shit like that. So those have been
the audiences are so happy
the audiences are so happy. And the people, because it's outside, the ones putting on the outside shows, they've just been more conscious of like creating a comedy club environment outside.
Yeah.
So like I did a show at the goddamn Will Rogers State Park on a beach.
No shit in Santa Monica,
that
really?
Shit was fire, bro.
No shit.
Yeah. It's like how the sun had just set. So now I'm following God. You know what I'm saying? Like he just lit up the sky with his daily fireworks show, and I gotta follow sunset. Yeah. And I'm like, bang, bang. So,
God spiked the mic on you.
Yeah. So I was like, shit, I gotta be better than this sunset and shit.
Yeah.
But it was dope.
Right. Oh, that's all. Yeah, I did a couple. I found the same thing. Like even like I did one drive-in show. And like, even though people were like just flashing their brights or whatever, and you could only hear the front row because they had like pickup trucks set up in the front row, backed in. So they were sitting in the beds of their pickups. And those are the only like 30 people you could hear.
Right.
But they gave you enough of like an idea of your rhythm.
Right.
And then the rest of it was just gravy. The rest of it was just like, now I don't have to care about the people in the back because, they got speakers in their cars and they can see. And I've just felt like the like euphoria of not being in the house added so much to the shows.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we're cavemen. We appreciate more with less. Yeah. So I did the parking structure in Irvine Improv on the roof, just like you. And I mathematically was like, the people laughing in the front, like I assumed that laughter, I was getting the same amount of laughter from all the sections leading towards the back. So it felt like a surprisingly really good set. Right. And I had a really good night performing in an environment that even if you offered me way more money in regular times, I would have been like, I'm not doing that. That's just not performing to people in their cars, but this shit was dope.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it does everything simpler. It's like something that makes me very thankful of even my house. Like I don't have a big house, but like I just appreciate every nook and cranny of it now. Like I appreciate my toaster oven and how how it tucks right under the cabinet and at the plate for the toast. Like I can go, Brett, just like all the little shit that you have in your life that's simple suddenly feels so much better.
Right.
And having neighbors that I just walk by and social distance and say hi to, like I appreciate those relationships more. And I think it's been a necessary thing. I think I was kind of burnt out before this pandemic. I was not enjoying my stand-up that much. I was kind of, I felt like there were certain nights where I was just working instead of like, being an artist. I felt like I was just cashing checks. And I never wanted to feel like that. And I really hadn't all these years. And so the timing was kind of perfect. And these weeks I've gone back, I've felt like way more creative. And I think I'm riffing more on stage. I'm, present for my material and writing tons of new shit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely been a time of like reflection and been loving, like I said, I was on the road. So you have these homes and you're never there.
Yeah.
And you don't get to enjoy the thing that you're paying for every day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And now you get to like, all right, you know, some people broke up with their house. They're like, I hate this place. No, like after staying home, they realize it's a shitty ass place, or I really love this place, or let me fix this place up. Like we need to work on our relationship house.
Yeah.
And the house is like, well, you need to do this and do that. And you're like, all right, I'll do it. And, you know, we'll make this relationship between ourselves better. I'll fix the bathroom.
Yeah. Some houses are more demanding than others.
Yeah. Some houses are more demanding than others. Yeah.
That's why you want a new house. You don't want an old house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want a nice virgin that doesn't know better, virgin house that doesn't know better and thinks you're right all the time.
Yeah, right. So do you know, I'm just thinking like the timing for you was really bad because you had that special come out on Comedy Central and you had like, I know you got a lot of road work out of that. And I think you were like really picking up steam as a stand-up. And then this kind of crashed down on that whole like momentum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I had like gigs in places that I loved going to. Yeah. Like, first of all, the year started off like dope last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even when some of the worst news hit, I was in some of the best places. Like when the news of Kobe Bryant dying hit me, I was in Fiji. That's how last year started. Like, so wow. I started the year with Tosh on a tour. We did shows in Hawaii, and then we went to Australia and went to Sydney and Melbourne. And then on the way back, we stopped in Fiji. And that's where I heard Kobe Bryant died. And it was sad, but I was like, at least that's going to be the worst news for the year.
Yeah.
And if anybody told you that Kobe Bryant dying in the beginning of the year would not be the biggest news of the year, you'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
And then I had shows set up in Austin, and I was going to go back to the Melbourne Comedy Festival, the Sydney Comedy Festival. I had just shows in like great places, but I you know, people are like, people are saying they don't have corona, but everybody got corona. Like your job got corona, your career got corona, your bank account got corona. You don't get to meet as much people, go out, and so everything got corona.
Yeah.
Whether you physically, like I've been testing positive for corona the entire time, not physically, but just everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's like when I think back to like the plague in 1918, and you always wonder, like I would always wonder, what was that like? You know, what was it like to have people dying all around you? And it turned out to not be as extreme as that, or not yet anyway. Hopefully it doesn't, with this new strain doesn't get worse. But like, I always wondered like the living in fear and the loneliness and all that stuff, and what it would be like to live through. Cause that was like a couple years of that plague. And now
how do you plague without Netflix?
Right.
Like, how do you plague without Disney Plus? You know what I mean?
Right.
How do you plague without Pornhub giving everybody free subscriptions? Like, that is terrible.
I know.
Not the plague. Plaguing without those things.
Yeah.
How do you plague without Amazon dropping off your groceries?
Yeah. Right. How do you plague without books? If you're poor during the plague, you don't even have books.
You don't have books. Like,
you got no radio. I mean, the only music in 1918, the only music you hear is like if you heard a band on the street, that was your music, period.
Yeah. I had a terrible plague. I only learned 3 languages. Like that's
yeah, right.
Some people getting fat during the plague, like from going to their fridge too much. Like,
yeah, I know. This is a pretty best case scenario plague for us anyway. I don't know.
For some people, yeah.
But the crazy thing is like, and also for stockbrokers, it was a great year. I mean, the stock market, I don't know how, but it just kept fucking going up and up and up.
Yeah, I know.
And, so I don't know. I gotta like, bear down now and get my game face back on. I gotta start writing. Like I didn't write a script during this break.
I know.
Did you write a script?
No, but I know some guy that wrote 2 scripts, and we were friends before he told me that. But after that, go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
bro.
dude. Yeah. Why are you shaming me?
Why are you trying to disrespect me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did I mention improving my life during this? So why are you telling me this during this conversation?
It's like when there's a car crash in a car race, and then there's a lap where nobody's allowed to pass each other. I forget what they call that.
Oh, yeah.
And then one car, like, you know, I think it's the yellow flag. When they wave the yellow flag, you can't pass anybody. Right. And that's what they should be waving right now. Yeah. Don't be fucking high achieving right now.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be lapping people during the yellow flag, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, right. Just suffer and slow down like everybody. Go into a mild depression like everybody else. Like because I have depression and I feel like I had it under pretty good control going into the pandemic. And now lately I've been like, oh man, I got to see a shrink again because I'm starting to feel it. And it's like, no, I don't. I got to wait for this fucking pandemic to end. That's all. Right.
What about a Zoom shrink?
You can't find one. I've been looking for a month. All the shrinks are booked up solid. You cannot find. There's this one guy.
They're gone like weights. Like you can't find weights.
That's right.
Because everybody's trying to work out at home.
Yep.
So the shrinks are gone like toilet paper at the beginning of this thing. Oh, damn.
That's right. Yeah.
Shrinks are like toilet paper at this.
Yeah, and when you run out of toilet paper, that's when you really need to talk to somebody too.
Exactly. That's when you need someone the most.
So I called like 25 shrinks because I went through the Writers Guild because that's my insurance too. And you know, they give you a list of like 1,000. So you don't even know who's good and who's not.
Right.
So I called like 25 of them and like none of them even get back to me.
Oh,
like, no, like a couple kids got back to me and they just left a message saying, I'm fully booked. I know it's impossible to find a shrink right now, but I'm totally booked. And then this one guy calls me back and he's kind of like, got a real low voice and he talks real slow. And he's like, he goes, you know, yeah, I have some openings and, you know, I usually have some new openings like at least once a month or every 2 months. And I'm like, that's not good. Why do you keep having openings?
His patients kill themselves?
Yeah, they're all killing themselves.
Oh, shit. He's not saving anybody. The only way to get openings. Damn. Yeah.
So tell me more about the show. Is it is Tracy involved? Is he on the Zoom calls?
Yeah, Tracy's involved. Yeah. The funny thing about the show is, you know, they've had the Me Too movement. There's been like Black Lives Matter stuff. So now there's all these meetings about the show that are not about the creativity of the show. It's about workplace environment type things.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to like almost do these HR seminars with these experts just to make sure everybody feels they're in a safe place. Yeah. And so not that the network cares, they just don't want to get sued.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they do these things to say, we did care, we took precautions, we did this, we did that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And is that weird when they're having a seminar like that and you have no pants on?
Wait a minute. We're supposed to put pants on?
Dude, we had it when I worked on the Man Show when it was Joe and Doug hosting it.
Hilarious.
And so they had this, and it was Frank Sebastiano. You know Frank, right?
Do I? No. Maybe I've heard of his name.
He's a real twisted writer. He's the guy that wrote almost every. He wrote him and Ross Abrash wrote all of Norm's stuff on SNL, like the crack whore jokes and all that stuff. And he wrote for Letterman and Saturday Night Live while in LA at the same time.
Damn, monster.
And he was the only remote writer for either one of those shows.
Yeah.
So he's got anyway. So like he was on the show, and so we had this HR woman, not HR. She was the censor for the show, and of course it's the Man Show, so it's like we're constantly stepping over the line.
Right.
And the executives were all women. It was like it was such a weird set. It was all women telling us what to do, and so this woman was super sexy, and she was this hot Asian woman, And so she would call in and we put her on speakerphone and we would purposefully put words into the script that she would have to say.
Hilarious.
Like, you can't say pussy. And
how many times do I have to tell you, you can't say pussy?
You can't say hot soapy tits.
Hilarious. You could probably edit together all those things and it'll end up being a porn script.
Right. Yeah. Well, we actually wrote a sketch about it that made it onto the show, and she had no idea that it was about her.
Damn. Those people are so into their jobs, they have no idea.
I know. Yeah. So the show is, so you're writing without having a production date, or did you guys like start production, have to stop down, or what?
No, we just started writing, and then after we write, then they're gonna take it and go shoot it in New York.
Yeah.
So, I wake up in the morning, try to wake up like 8. Take me a half hour to get out of bed. I have to actually wake up to rip myself away from Instagram or whatever is distracting me on my phone.
Yeah.
Then I'll just do workout. They have no weights, so I got to do yoga. Right. And then
you do a lead class, or you just do your own stuff?
I just do whatever free class is on. Like, there's like yoga instructors that make videos on YouTube.
Right.
So everything's on YouTube. Like, I injured my shoulder, right, during this whole thing. You know, everything used to be WebMD. Yeah. You just go to YouTube and to type in whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
And like, I just gave my neighbor a successful heart transplant. It's just YouTube tutorials, you know what I'm saying? So
that's amazing. So you really, you can do anything.
Bro, listen, I fixed my knee from YouTube.
Yeah.
I think if this was, what happens when you rip something, what do they call that, in your shoulder?
Torn cartilage?
Cartilage, but something else, but I fixed it. Yeah. That, and now my shoulder is stronger than ever. So then I was able to, and then I also learned how I had an impediment. It's when you lose range in your shoulder.
I got that in my left shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just happens. Right. And then this is something that's just going to get worse. So then I started doing these exercises, and then some of the what are those called? The therapy exercises. Yeah. I realized, when I used to do yoga, they used to say, put your shoulders on your back. Yeah. And I was like, so then I went back to doing yoga, and then and I realized how terrible I walk and stand. Right. So then I just fixed all of that. So yeah, man, I don't even think there's any need for medical school, bro.
No, I know. It's like, I swear to God, if you do yoga 2-3 days a week throughout your life, you don't need to go to the fucking doctor. Everything takes care of itself. Bro,
I've been doing it I get up in the morning, go down there, do 3 times, shower, dress not as if I'm going to work, but I change my clothes, take a shower, like to start the day, like if I was going to go to work. Yeah. And then I get on the Zoom at 10. Most of the time we get off by 4. And then the only disadvantage is it gets dark now. So you can't go for a walk in the sun.
Yeah. Right.
And then the evenings, the day's pretty much over, but you
guys break for an hour for lunch, or what happens?
We break for an hour for lunch.
It's a pretty easy day.
I'll take it, because I've been on, we've all been on them shows that just keep going. And we might be getting more done over Zoom. I hope we never have to go back to an office. You don't have to jump in no traffic. Right. You know what I mean? So, and the hour that I would spend in traffic, I'm sleeping. Yeah. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. And
I guess, so you just have the script is up on the page, and then you also have everybody's face, or is it just the script?
You have everybody's face, and then if we're working on a script, they'll put the script up, and then everybody to the side, and you can choose how many people you want to see. You can see everybody or most of everybody, and just as long as you can read the script.
Right.
And you just go. It's the first Zoom writer's room I've ever been in. So I was like, how is this going to work? So it's good to experience how the shit works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're used to being and doing everything in person. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and you worked on some fun shows together.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Crashing was great. We did, we did most of the time in LA. And then the fun part was like shipping off to New York for a little bit.
Yeah. That's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Being in Brooklyn and just going out for coffee and I don't know, it was springtime, it was nice out and we had a fun room. It wasn't a lot of people. It was really just like me, you, Mike Lawrence and Jamie.
Pete.
And Pete Holmes. And
what's Pete's homeboy? And Judah.
Yeah.
And then what's Pete's, did you mention him?
Oh, and Oren.
Oren, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a real like no stress, not long hours usually, you know?
Yeah.
And then you left and I stuck around for the long hours.
Yeah.
Once we started shooting, then it was like 12, 14-hour days, 5-6 days a week, you know, and it was a lot of like being on set. Have you been on any shows where you have to be on set all the time?
A little bit, but like when I wrote on Blackish, so it's a single camera.
Yeah.
So then you're writing, producing, and shooting at the same time at some certain point.
Yeah.
So you go into the sound stage, but those can be some long ass days.
And ultimately, you don't do that much. You're kind of there in case of emergency, depending on the show. Like Crashing, like the actors pretty much, they improv'd a lot. And so once we wrote the scripts and kind of punched them up a little bit, then it was up to the actors. And so the only thing we would get called in on would be like, you know, we got to change this scene a little bit. But there wasn't that much actual punch up to do because, you know, we had funny actors for the most part. You know, you got Bill Burr coming in and Dave Attell coming in and, you know, it was just kind of like sitting, drinking coffee and trying to look like you're paying attention for 12 to 14
which is a lot
hours.
of work. Trying to act like you're working. Like I've worked at jobs where I'm just trying not to get fired.
Right.
And they should pay you a separate check for that shit.
That's right.
Because that shit is.
Because you're playing defense. I'd rather play offense than defense.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And you're always like projecting positive energy, even though like I'm a depressed person, but I got to project like positivity all the time.
That's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's enough to make you want to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretending you're in a mood that you're not.
That's right.
Jesus.
No, if you're a depressed person, you need to feel your depression. You got to embrace it. You got to get down with it.
Yeah. You got to like just fall asleep somewhere sometimes. And,
right.
Yeah. And go. Yeah.
And we would have, and then I would go do sets after that. So we'd finish at like 10 o'clock at night and then I'd go down to the Village, do a spot. And then I'd have to go back to Brooklyn again. So I'd get to bed, and then when we got home, we would have to write jokes for the next day.
Right.
So even if you worked a 12-hour day, you had to spend another hour at home working on the script for the next day.
See, but I did something when we went to New York. I accidentally figured something out. So I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was Oren that put me up. So we all had to get an apartment in New York, right?
Yeah.
And Oren, or what's the writer's assistant's name?
Yoni.
Yoni, yeah. My bad, Yoni, if you ever listen to this. Because Yoni's a homie. We're supposed to probably go for a walk too. He hooked me up. One of them hooked me up with this website, which is like an entertainment website where you can get an apartment. Lee-list, right?
Yeah.
And then I found an apartment, it was like Midtown, right? Midtown, West Side.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the job is in Brooklyn. And then the job already had these apartments where everybody could rent right there in Brooklyn next to the. But then I realized I took the apartment in Manhattan. I'm like, damn, I'm going to have to get on the train and go to work in the morning, which makes you feel like a real New Yorker.
Yeah, right.
But work was over so early, and it's like spring, and it stays light out late.
Yeah.
You know, I'll take the train back to Manhattan, be back at my apartment, take a nap, and then go out and do a set. And then, but when you're out late at night in Manhattan doing a set and you live in Manhattan, you don't have to worry about getting a train back to Brooklyn if you have, and then, because that's when the trains start acting funny. And you could be at a bus train stop for like 2 hours. Yeah. So I'd just be like, get home. And I felt like I got more rest, like having an apartment in Manhattan and having to travel to work in the morning then. And it was more convenient. So late at night, after I did a set, I just jump in a cab or take the train a few stops, or sometimes just walk back. It's just quicker.
Dude, I did the city bikes. The city bikes were amazing because we worked right over the bridge in Brooklyn. We weren't that far off. So I would just rent one of those I got a city bike pass. So I think it's like $100 for the year or something. Oh, shit. And then I would just jump on a bike. I go over the Brooklyn Bridge and be in the village. I could literally get door to door from my apartment to the cellar in like less than 20 minutes.
All right. That's dope.
And then I run around the city doing spots. I go up to Gotham. I go across to New York Comedy Club, go to the Stand. I do 3 sets a night and then, go back to Brooklyn on a city bike. And I would go from gig to gig, just rent another city bike. It was fucking great.
That's dope. That sounds so much like the past.
Yeah.
Like none of that shit is open now.
I know.
Yeah. So if, some kids, that are too young now, they listen to this. This is how the world was.
What do you
find this recording?
Oh, you're saying in 10 years if the pandemic's still going on?
Yeah, because or whatever's going on. Listen, I'm talking to you, right? Yeah. And like when this started in March, the worries was a pandemic. And I'm looking in the background and people are storming the Capitol. But like, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
Right? This could be the recording that, how people find, discover like pyramids and mummies. Yeah. And they wonder how they built the shit. Yeah. For some reason, something might happen, and this might be the only recording they find. This could be one of the 10 recordings that they find of any podcast, of anything that was ever recorded. Right. For people to know what life used to be like. What it was like will be like an exhibit at the Museum of Natural History. There'll be like red velvet ropes, and it'll just be a screen up showing the two of us talking. So no pressure, but we got to make this conversation good. We got to make it good. We got to punch it up. Yeah, we got to punch this shit up. It's wait, there's some other stuff I want to ask you. So did you get a bidet? Hilarious. I know a lot of people that got bidets. I got a bidet. How you into it? Well, because of the great toilet paper scare of 2020. I ran out, I got on Amazon, but all the good ones were gone. So I got like that cold water bidet. It feels like a popsicle shooting up your ass. And now I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to having a clean asshole. It sprays water all over the place. You get it in your taint strip, your balls, and you use more toilet paper, like drying yourself off than you would have to just put it out. But it's clean. It feels good. Right. Well, you better take that bidet ass to your wife before you leave town tonight. Honey, it's clean. I swear to God. I just took a shit. It's clean. Yeah. I didn't jump on the bidet train. Did I think about it? Now, they always weirded me out. Here's the crazy thing. I grew up in Jamaica. A lot of people had bidets in Jamaica. No shit. Yeah, but it's almost like a separate toilet by itself. Yeah. So there's a toilet, there's a bidet, and there's a sink. And that shit was just, I wasn't even clear. I was young. Wasn't even clear what that shit was for then. Yeah. I just thought it was for women, to be honest. I think it was originally just for women. Oh, okay. It was for their filthy vaginas, because those things, I don't know if you've been around them, but they need a constant cleaning. Constant cleaning. Yeah. But no, the first one I experienced was at Rogan's old studio. He got one put in. Oh, and he's like, hey, man, he's like, you got to go use my bidet. And I was like, well, I don't really have to take a shit. He's like, yeah, I was kind of hoping you didn't have to take a shit. You can just sit down and try the bidet. I was like, oh yeah, all right. And his was like, it's got the remote control. It's got different water temperatures, and it was high end. And mine is just some shitty Costco one. You know what's funny about bidets? It's like, there's a consumer report on anything before it hits the market.
Yeah.
Like you have people come in, test the product out, and then sit in a room and discuss it. And then people record it like it's a police investigation behind and, you know, I would like to see the bidet consumer report video. You know what I mean? How did you feel? You know, how did you feel?
Hey.
I felt there could have been more water pressure, you know?
Yeah. Can we see a photo? Can we see photos of your assholes?
Yeah. Look, mine's clean. What about yours? See, you don't know how to aim. You got to offer more, you know?
Yeah. I mean, some assholes just never get clean. I was talking to Allison Rosen, who I do another podcast with called Childish. And she said she got one, but she's like, you're getting your asshole clean. And I was telling her about how the water gets all over the place. She's like, I got a big ass. She goes, my water goes in, comes straight out. It's not splashing all over the place.
Well, she's done stuff before. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And what if somebody's like, mine felt like I was getting my ass licked. I love it.
By the devil, by a cold tongue.
It's a bidet. It's called, they should have a bidet called the tongue. That'll sell.
So what would you say in the last year, like what did you learn about yourself? Like I learned that
I should buy gold.
Right. Or fucking Bitcoin. If you bought Bitcoin a year ago, you would have quadrupled your money.
I got to check. I bought some back when it was all hype, like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. And then it went down, but I said, I'm going to just leave it. It wasn't that much. Yeah. But I'm going to check on that shit now.
Oh, you still got it?
Yeah. I just didn't touch it. It's just
dude, you got some money.
Yeah, because you know why I left it? Because I remember like 2008 when the market crashed. Like I had a mutual fund and I lost $13,000. All right. And I was asking people what to do. Yeah. And one person's like, pull the rest of the money out. And one person said you should leave it. And I listened to the person who said leave it. And then I got the $13,000 back and some more. Yeah. And I was like, everybody who pulled out lost the money that they lost. That's right. You know, so I just accepted. I just did the same thing with Bitcoin. I'll lose it. I lose what I lose. And if I keep the thing, it'll come back. Yeah. So I need to check. Well, that's the thing. Warren Buffett, all the people that really know what they're talking about, they all say you're investing for the long term. Buy good companies. I'm not a gambler. Leave them in. Yeah. Right. Leave them in. But Bitcoin, I'm actually going to buy some. I haven't bought it yet, but like my friend told me to buy it a year ago, and I'd be fucking wealthy right now. And same thing with Tesla. He told me to buy Tesla. I didn't buy it. Some Tesla. Yeah. I might buy some Disney, because if it's doing good now and the parks ain't even open, that shit is just going to go up. I think Disney's a good bet. I also think Disney TV is going to just keep like growing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did you have to loan anybody money during the pandemic? I never loaned people money. It's not happening. Like, if you're a friend of mine, I want to keep you my friend, so I'm not loaning you any money. Have you turned anyone down? No. Yeah, this is what I do. So this is what I do. I like my friends, you know what I mean? So if you're a friend and you want to borrow some money, say you want to borrow, let's just make up an amount. You want to borrow 1,000. Yeah. Right? I know there's a possibility of you not paying that back, right? And if you don't pay, if you don't have the money to pay it back, you'll stop calling me because you'll think that I just want my money back. Right. And you can't have a conversation with someone who you know you owe money to. Right. So then you'll stop calling me. And then every time I call you, you'll think I'm calling you for my money when I'm just trying to fucking talk to my friend. Right. So then you lose that friend. Right. And then so much time goes by, you just stop talking. Yeah. So I just loan people. I give people the amount of money I can afford to lose. Uh-huh. So if you want to borrow 1,000, I say, hey man, I don't have 1,000 I can loan you, but I can give you 200. Uh-huh. and you don't have to pay it back. And I'll give them that money. And then sometimes somebody wants to borrow an amount of money that I can afford to lose. So then I just loan them the money, but I never want that shit back. And I never ask them for that shit back.
Yeah.
So I never loan friends money.
And if you just give them the money, they will, they'll call you even more.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll call you all the time now.
Yeah, yeah. There's no, you know, I lost a friend because he owed me some money.
Yeah, right.
And then he felt bad, so the motherfucker stopped calling me. It's like, who gave a fuck about, you know?
Yeah. We had a housekeeper who was very sweet, and she used to ask to borrow money. And, you know, like 1,000 here, 1,000 there. And you always figure, you know, she's from Guatemala. She had like 4 kids. The husband left. And, you know, she's cleaning houses for, you know, not great money. So we give it to her. And I said to my wife, look, if she never pays us back, that's totally fine. You know, she needs it more than we do. So we must have loaned to her like 3 or 4 times. And it occurred to me recently, like, she never brought it up once. Like, she must have known that we like that was what we were thinking. And she hasn't kept asking for it, but I did think, well, that's weird.
That's hilarious. That she never like offered it back to you.
Never once.
She's like, you know, and you know what?
I tell her to keep it.
She's like, you know what you pay me. How am I supposed to pay you back?
Right. And I see your shit. I know exactly what shit you have in your house.
Yeah. I see you have enough.
Yeah. Right.
You don't need this back.
Yeah. And I always feel bad because, you know, if I'm not on the road that week and she comes over, I'm like in my pajamas at noon, like watching TV. I got to lift my feet so she can work.
Hilarious.
Have you ever borrowed money from anybody?
Maybe like when I was younger from a credit card company or some shit.
Yeah.
Or let me see. I'm sure I have, and I'm sure I didn't pay it back.
Right.
And I'm sure we're not speaking.
Right.
But it was so long ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I was just more irresponsible than I am now. You know, believe it or not, I'm a lot less irresponsible than I used to be. I'm not saying I ain't irresponsible, but I'm at least a little bit less.
I think of you as very responsible. Like you're a guy who you bought an apartment, right? So I know you're paying your mortgage. You got to deal with the co-op board. This like owning a place is a lot of, you know, shit to think about, fixing stuff. And, you know, people that rent are kind of going like, I still need you to babysit me. I still need to be able to call you to take care of my shit for me because I'm not a grown up yet.
I'm a good renter. Like the last apartment I moved out of, they had this, who's the person who looks after the building? Superintendent was expecting like to hit me with all these charges because I'd been there like 9 years. So when they came in to inspect the place, it's like, what? How long you been here? And then I was looking at their face, trying to figure out how they were going to make up ways to steal my deposit.
Yeah, right.
Based on the condition the apartment was in. Yeah. They expected it to be like in way worse. Right. And he's like, how long you had this carpet? And I was like, because I live in the motherfucker. I don't want to live in a piece of shit. Yeah, right. So I took care of it, you know? And anything that was fucked up was just from natural, regular shit. It wasn't like, you know, I don't bash guitars against the wall. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? After the band plays a set in the living room every night. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah, I remember in college we had some deposits that in college you just don't even ask for it back because you know that shit is trashed. And they come in and they would have, it was always just like guys would come in for one day with just rollers and they would fucking just roll white paint on all the walls, all the ceilings, all the doors, cabinets, one kind of paint, the whole fucking radiators. They paint the radiators over again, windowsills. Floor white. Yeah, it's an insane asylum. You feel like you're in a racquetball court. Yeah. It's like, what? This is a hospital. Yeah, right. So I started to ask you, what did you learn about yourself this year? Nothing good. No? I mean, So, you know what I did? I did ayahuasca
Oh, no
a
shit.
few weeks ago.
Oh, Neil Brennan was just telling me he's been doing it this year and he had like really good results with it.
Yeah, I did it with him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I didn't want to snitch, but since he's telling you, since you snitched first, I mean, since the evidence is out there.
No, he said it on my pod. He was my last guest on the podcast.
He's the last guest
before you, so you're back to back with Neil.
Oh shit!
And he was talking about it on the podcast. I wouldn't bring it up otherwise.
No, I know. He's been telling people. He's an advocate for it now.
Yeah.
So I was just talking shit.
So what was your experience with it?
So Neil rented this spot in Venice. He lives in Venice, so it's weird he rented a spot, but he didn't want to do it at his house. And I'm also you mentioned, I've been cautious about the whole Corona thing. So it's the first time in a minute, like when I hang out with people, I'm normally outside. Yeah. So now I'm inside with 4 people, with 3 other people. I don't know where the fuck they've been. Yeah. But there's something Neil said that kind of made sense. It's like, I don't think this type of medicine, you can get Corona doing this type of medicine, which makes no sense, but makes complete sense. So I was like, yeah, you're right. Because if this thing is about like discovering something and finding out something, then I like, fuck it. And if you do, it's worth the risk. Like I've been cautious, but then there's days I've taken risks, you know, throughout this. And that's the only way to live.
So you got to have a special day once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. This is my cheat day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
This is my cheat virus day. So it was like on a Saturday night. We're in this spot. I'm on one end of the room. It's carpeted. I'm leaned up against the couch. It's an L-shaped couch. My arm is here. You know, there's this girl. She's in the middle. Neil is on the right. The guy's in front of us, the shaman, some white dude. And,
you got a shaman?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
Yeah. The shaman, he's telling us the process. He's like, you know, I'm going to pour everybody a glass. You come get it, but you don't drink until everybody has their glass, and then you drink. And then he's like, you're going to take 2 glasses. There's first one, then an hour and a half later, you take the second glass. So I'm like, all right, it's time to take the glass. This is it. And before I got there, it had just been a busy week. And I'd looked up stuff about ayahuasca before and always wanted to try it. Yeah. But on the way to Santa Monica from where I live, I just watched and listened to this YouTube documentary on ayahuasca. Yeah. So I knew that you had to set some intentions. I knew what happens afterwards and what might happen during it. Right. You know, it's just been a minute since it's something I've always wanted to do. Not always, but wanted to do, but didn't even get a chance that week to like take it seriously what I was about to do. So it was a good thing I listened to the documentary. So I set some intentions, and like one of the intentions was about love, you know, and we took it. And when I took it, we're sitting there, and you know when you're on a flight and if you have the window seat and you look at the ground and the plane is taking off, the ground is flashing before you. Yeah. My eyes are closed and that's all I see. And I go, all right, this is happening. Yeah. And then the worst part of a flight to me is when the plane or the nose of the plane is off the ground. You're half on the ground and half, because it gets a little rough. And that's what I felt. Yeah. Like that. And I was like, oh, I don't like this. Right. But then part of the documentary was like, just accept everything and let go. So I said, I guess I got to let go. And I did. And then there was blast off. Yeah. And then I ended up in this fucking, do you have a ring light in front of you? Like I have a ring light. Right? for the like this? Yeah. Like I ended up in a ring light, homie. Like bathed in like outside and inside, bathed in a full on like light. Nice. And it felt good. Good to the point I was like looking over at Neil, I'm like, because before I did it, weeks before I did it, you know, every time Neil did it, I asked him about it. And it's like, why didn't you tell me about this part, motherfucker? This doesn't make any sense for you not to mention this feeling. It was crazy. It was like love, and it was greatness and a little bit of horniness on top of it. It was just lit.
Wow.
Like in the best sense, right? And but I was also incapacitated physically. Like you're also high, but you're also somewhere else. Yeah. So then I had this glass of water next to me, and I couldn't even like, and I'm just like, fuck it. And I'm just like in this shit, right? And an hour and a half must have went by, because then I see them getting their second cup. And the shaman's like,
oh, this is all from just your first cup.
This is just the first cup, bro.
Damn.
This is the first cup. I can't even reach the water, bro.
Yeah.
So then the shaman's like, ENT, I couldn't even answer him. I was like, I went like, there's no way I could take another cup on top of that. Like, I don't think it would have been good. So then I'm just chilling. I'm in it, right? The other girl, she's heaving. She's like dry heaving. She's in child's pose, heaving into this bucket. They gave us all a bucket before you start. Yeah. You know, and I didn't want to throw up, but I was like, if it happens, it happens, but I didn't want to throw up. So then I'm in this light and I'm just enjoying it. I can feel it going through my body. It feels like it's like almost like refortifying like my infrastructure and my bones. Like Neil said, he saw me doing this with my hands. Like, but it felt like the light and shit was just shooting through it. Yeah. It sounds crazy, but that's what was going on. Wow. Anytime I touched anywhere, it felt fucking amazing. Like I touched everywhere on my face in the middle of Corona. Yeah. I was like, just touching all of this. Did you guys wear masks? You didn't wear masks, did you? Nah, no mask. I just gotta be honest. Like, no mask. That's why I said it was a risk to be in a closed, because I hadn't been in a closed space, not without a mask on and not for long. You know, this is the whole night. So how long did it last? Well, so what happened was I was able to reach the glass of water, and I drank it. And the water, the touch of the water on the outside of my lip and on my tongue, it's like some shit you never felt before. It shit felt like life. Yeah. My hand on the outside of the glass I could feel every little ridge or whatever on the out, and I could feel everything. Yeah. So once I drank the water, I was like, let me get this second thing, right? I crawl over to the guy. I put my ayahuasca shot glass down. There's almost like a little plastic shot glass. I put it down, crawl back. He pours the thing, does like some ceremonial stuff, and I crawl over and get it. I'm like, all right, here we go again. Because it's kind of, the peak has leveled off, but I'm still, like, here we go. Sit there, wait for it, boom, back in, right? Yeah. But this time, a bunch of things happened. This time, so I have a lot of friends who are depressed, and when they're depressed, they call me, and I ridicule them. You know what I'm saying? I gotta start reaching out more. Because I'm a real good friend to have. Yeah. When I ridicule them, I'm like, what are you kidding me? What do you mean your life? And I tell them about all the good things in their lives. Yeah. Right? And I realize I never do that for myself. I never tell myself about the good things about me. Yeah. So I ridicule them and tell them about the good things. And then they're like, oh shit, I forgot about that. So you did this, you did that, you did this, you've accomplished this, you got this, you got that. And I was like thanking myself for me. Yeah. And for the things I've done for me, for having my back and looking out for me and and those things. Yeah. So that was great. Like I've never done that. And sometimes I see people write these posts on Instagram, and feels like self, whatever, aggrandizing.
Yeah.
So, but that I did this to myself without making it seem like, you know, in a bad way. It's just some shit you need to do sometime for yourself.
Right.
All right. So I did that. Then I thanked myself. I didn't thank myself. I thought about my mom's, like, and all the things she's done for me. You know what I mean? Like, just as a mom, like, you have to cook like 3 meals a day. There was like 4 of us, and she had a job, and none of the meals were like mailed in. They were always, she was a great cook. She always made the greatest meals, and she like took care of me. Right. You know, so for over more than like for decades, and that's a lot of fucking work. Yeah. And then I was like, oh shit, I was lucky to have the mom that I had. That's this fucking great. So I was like thankful for that. And just, you know, as kids, like she always made sure we went to the dentist or took us to the doctor, just and gave us like these herbal remedies and stuff for whenever we got sick, or so that we wouldn't get sick, like these tune-ups and shit we used to hate. Right. But she used to take care of us, keep us like in the shop on and when the maintenance light came on, boom, you know? Right. So I was just thankful for that. And then I was like, damn, that's a lot of fucking love, right? And then there was a point when I went to the end of everything and there was nothing, you know? And that happened twice in a row. Just like in a good way or a bad way? It wasn't in a bad way. It just was what it was. Yeah. You know, and I don't know if that's true, but it just was that. And I didn't receive it. It wasn't given to me in a hostile way, and I didn't receive it in a hostile way. Right. And then just and then a few hours later, everything faded. We all slept. And then in the morning, we all talked about how we felt. Everybody had a completely different experience on the same, on a substance that was poured from the same bottle, you know? Wow. And this was my first time, and this was like their third time, you know? And they had positive experiences also? I think the girl had a rough one, and Neil had a rough one too, but it was not a bad trip. It was like a rough trip. Like when she was heaving, like I felt like I loved her, and it was an honor. And I felt like she needed to go through this, and it was an honor for me to be there to witness her go through this, that she's going to be better off because she was exhausted from heaving, you know, like your stomach muscles contract so many times over an hour and a half period. So it was like an hour and a half. She couldn't stop. Like, she couldn't stop like throwing up or her body go through the exercise of throwing up. Like most of the time, nothing came out. It's almost better if some shit comes out, right? Oh yeah, dry heaving is way worse. Dry heaving is way worse, right? Yeah. So I was like, you're going to be fine. Because I was even like, I could barely say anything. I said, you're going to be fine. I got you. And I love you. I never met this girl before, but that's just how I felt from my corner of the room. So, but I guess at the end, so we're all talking, and then my realization was like, shit, if I went to the end of everything and there was nothing, then the thing I could take away from it the most was like, I need to love someone the way my mother loved me, or my friends, or some strangers, or people, a group of people, like someone or some people deserve that. And I don't know if it's like in a prolonged instance or it's fragmentally based on people I run into. It's just, that's the whole thing that I took from it. Like, cause that sounds like my question was, did you learn anything this year? That's a pretty big thing to learn. Nothing at all. Nothing. I learned that back to gambling, baby. Back to gambling, baby. I learned that all life is love, and we transcend it, and it's a communal feeling. But other than that, I don't know. I learned that my shoulders kind of off. You know. Like, yeah. Besides the shit on YouTube, nothing, bro. All right, I love it, man. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do some ayahuasca because I feel like I need a reset. I need
I gotta just take a giant step back from my life, and it's nothing terrible, but I just feel like it's, I'm 54. I think it's time for me to just get down to the basics.
Yeah.
If you want to do it again, I'll do it with you again.
All right, cool. I think Neil might be doing it again.
Yeah.
So we'll find out.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right, good.
All
right, man. Well, listen, that's a nice way to go out. I love that. I love that story. And I'm happy you went through it. I'm glad you got so much out of it. And, definitely inspires me. Yeah, so, all right. So normally I'd plug your road dates, but you don't have it coming up. So I'll just plug ianedwards.com.
Yeah, ianedwardscomedian.com. Or just my Instagram at Ian Edwards Comic.
At Ian Edwards Comic. Okay, good. All right, brother. Good catching up with you. Don't hang up yet, because I got to ask you a couple questions.
All right, cool. All right.
Thanks, man.
One.